Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to be here with you again. I'm here with the amazing Debra Poneman. Hello, Debra.
Hey, Dan, I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, so I'm just so grateful, and we try to get this thing going live, but we're going to share this all over Facebook, etc. So, because Debra is amazing. Man, I've known Debra for it seems like many years now, I mean, I just way back and 10 years ago, I think, or I don't know how long
At
ago.
least I think more than that, because we met through Janet and Chris Atwood at some event. I can't remember what it was, but it has to be more than 10 years. And I remember I liked you from the minute I met you. I thought might be the nicest guy I've ever met. So it's so good to chat with you.
Oh, thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much. So we're going to go ahead and let people know all about you. Maybe you have heard of Deborah lately. She's reaching lots of people right now through a launch. So Deborah, for over 40 years, Debra Poneman, best-selling author and founder of Yes to Success seminars, has shared her system, now used by tens of thousands of people around the world, to create lives of not only success and prosperity, but deep happiness, self-love, and lasting inner fulfillment. Yes. Okay, yes, sir, yes. All right, known as the mentor to mentors, Debra's students have used her teachings to become mega successful entrepreneurs, renowned transformational leaders, New York Times best-selling authors, millionaires, billionaires, and powerful world changers in every arena. That's exactly why she's on this show today. But Debra feels her great accomplishment is not just that she's taught so many people how to live their dreams, but also how to look in the mirror and love the person they see. And that is so true. I mean, Debra, I remember it was Hidden Rituals was one of them I went to with you, that you were there and you did a process there where you were I think it was the circle one. And whenever you did, you had us feel into our hearts with the love and everything. And I just never forgot it, just that whole process. So you bring the love, the enlightenment, everything. So that's why you're perfect for sharing here on this show. So grateful to have you. So, and I totally resonate with yes. Like I chant yes like 100+ times in the morning to get started my day. Yes, 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 yes. It's all about yes, baby, right? So I've always really loved the name of the yes to success has always been big. So we're here to talk about being a yes to true success. Debra, my God, I don't know where to start. You've helped people like Deepak Chopra, been mentors to people like this, and Janet Atwood, etc. Tell us about yourself. What got you into all this stuff anyway in the first place?
All right. Okay. Well, it's kind of a long story, so I'll make it relatively short. But when I tell my story, I tell it because there are a lot of great principles that I use to create my own success that everybody could use. So when I tell the story, it's not just to say, and then I did this, and then I did this. It's like, listen to what I did because you could do the same. And the basis to my success was the entire decade of the 70s. I was a meditation teacher. I was a full-time teacher of transcendental meditation. And I worked at Maharishi International University as an administrator. And I feel that the basis to success is having some practice that creates inner silence. Because if you don't have a practice that creates inner silence, it's like trying to build a building without a foundation. Right? So when you have a practice, whatever it is, where you feel silent inside, where you feel immovable inside, that's the foundation on which you can create a glorious life. But what happened for me was when I was about to hit the big 3-0, I realized, and I was living in a meditation community, and I thought, well, I love being here, but woman does not live by mantra alone. And I needed some money. I needed like health insurance, car insurance, a car to insure. So this is long before people would think about, well, what is my passion? And all I thought was, how can I make some money so I could go back and start teaching meditation again? And I thought, okay, where do people make money? They make money in Los Angeles. And how do they do it? They do it selling investments. So I moved to Los Angeles. I got a job selling investments. I was a dismal failure. However, oftentimes, almost always, we do something for a reason. We think we're doing it, but it's often a completely different reason. And it's really always the reason is to learn life's lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Always. That's the only reason we're here on earth. So even if you do something and it seems like a failure, what did you learn? What did you learn that you're not going to do again next time? How did you fall down? Well, get yourself up again and know the missteps that you might have taken. Anyway, so I'm in LA and I am not doing very well selling investments, but somebody invites me to the Learning Annex, which is where you go and you learn. Well, I didn't even know what it was, but I thought I was going to go and learn about stocks and bonds. And I walk in, this is 1980, the guy is talking about the law of attraction. And what he's saying is that your thoughts create your reality because you vibrate with your thoughts. And if you're always, no matter what your financial situation is, if you're always talking about how poor you are, you're never getting out of debt and the economy, and of course there are realities, but don't make them worse by projecting into the future how much more horrible it's going to be, because then you vibrate with that. And the only thing that you can draw into your life is more of the same, because we're like tuning forks. And if you're vibrating at C sharp, you are not going to draw into your life B flat. It just can't happen. And the guy said that no matter what your financial situation is, make a vision board, talk about the glorious future to come, go walk through LA and look at the beautiful houses and say, that's for me. You know, go down to the Mercedes dealership and get a picture of the car you're going to be driving and put it up on your bulletin board. Well, I was driving a beat up old Chevy Bel Air that was 10 years old that my aunt had left me when she passed away. And I did what the guy told me to do. And I got a picture of Mercedes, and I was the proud owner of that. As a matter of fact, somebody gave me that car 3 years later. And when they wanted to give me the car, I said, well, what color is it? And they said, blue. I said, okay, I'll take it. So anyway, I come home from this event, every cell in my body is vibrating. And I knew that that was the knowledge that I wanted to teach everybody. So we have the foundation of silence. And now there's this whole body of knowledge on how to create success energetically. So I started reading all of the great masters like Napoleon Hill and Wallace Wattles and Earl Nightingale and Florence Shinn. And I put together the best of the best knowledge on how to create a successful life. And I did 3 things, and this is what I recommend everybody do. Number 1, I didn't tell anybody what I was doing, because what is sacred should be kept secret. And if you go around telling everybody what you're up to, one of 2 or 3 things is going to happen. One is you're going to bump up against the discouragement committee. And those are the people who are going to tell you all the reasons why your idea is not going to work. And then this tiny seed of your idea is already crushed before it even has a chance to grow into a strong tree. The other thing that might happen is that you'll start moving ahead on your idea, but the doubt has already been implanted that it's some kind of bad idea and it'll never work. And every time you run into an obstacle, you'll be like, oh, well, Jane told me it wasn't going to work. But the other thing is that even if people give you accolades for your idea, what a great idea. Oh my God, Dan, that's the best idea ever. Then you've already had the appreciation, and it takes the steam out of the kettle. The steam is building up while you're working on this. Then you tell people and they go, oh, wow, that's so great. It kind of makes you not so intense on making it happen because you've already gotten all the praise. So you keep the steam in the kettle. You don't share it with the discouragement committee. So I kept it completely to myself. I was driving my friends crazy. They wanted to know what I was doing. The other thing is, don't wait until you think you're ready. Because after all, I was 29 years old. The only thing I had done in my life was teach meditation and be an administrator at Maharishi International University. I was broke, driving a beat up 10-year-old Chevy Bel Air, and I was going to teach people how to be successful. But here's the thing. An idea comes to you because you're supposed to manifest it. I believe that the creator, and that's the God of your understanding, looks down and thinks, okay, who is a worthy vehicle to make this idea manifest on earth? Because God has no hands but yours. God can't come down and start teaching success seminars. God can't come down and do a podcast like yours. God can't come down and open a gluten-free bakery. But those things need to be manifested for the world to work. So I believe that the creator looks for a worthy vehicle, whispers in that person's ear. And if that person doesn't get going on the idea, then the creator is going to have to whisper it into somebody else's ear. And that's why so many people have the experience of not doing your idea, seeing somebody else have tremendous success with your idea, and you're like, that was my idea. Well, hey, you had first dibs, but you didn't do anything about it. Okay. And the other thing is, don't wait until you think you're ready. I mentioned that because you'll never think you're ready. We live in a relative universe, and there's always going to be loose ends. People go, oh, I'll do it when the kids are in school, when the kids are out of school, when I get the divorce, when I get the inheritance, when I, quit. No. There will always be loose ends. There will never be a perfect time because that's not how the universe works. Loose ends and all, you have to take a step from which there's no turning back, because that's the only way that you're going to do the big, scary thing. But as my friend Lisa Nichols says, if you are not scaring yourself every day, you are not thinking big enough. And I'll tell you one more thing, and then I'll let you get a word in edgewise. And that is, and also, don't let the fact that other people are doing the same thing that you want to be doing, don't let it stop you. There were hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands of people teaching success seminars. There could be tens of thousands of people having similar podcasts. There are tens of thousands of people speaking about leadership, or how to grow orchids, or what are the best camping spots, or how you can live your passion, or how you could be happy. But there are people on earth who are waiting to learn from you. And they are waiting patiently for you to get your act together, because their contract coming into this lifetime is for you to be their teacher. So loose ends and all, just take that step from which there's no turning back. For me, I rented a room at the Santa Monica Public Library. Hey, I was broke. I was 29. I had no teaching experience. And I certainly wasn't the traditional successful person, but I put up posters, and that way I couldn't turn back, because that's what we did in 1980. We put up posters. There was no internet. And as soon as I put up the posters, the discouragement committee showed up and told me all the reasons why nobody would come to my seminar. But the posters were already up because I had taken that step from which there was no turning back. I walked into the room at the Santa Monica Public Library, and there was standing room only. And that was the beginning of Yes to Success. And from there, within a few years, Yes to Success was in 7 countries on 4 continents. And as you know, my first trainer was our mutual dear friend, Janet Atwood, who was also my assistant at the time. And our other dear friend, Maharishi Mahesh of Chicken Soup fame and Happy for No Reason, Star of the Secret, was my personal assistant, because she took my seminar and loved it, and asked if she could work for me and use the principles to create her own monumental success.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's so awesome how you ignited, like just even though the 3 people we mentioned. So Deepak Chopra, you're part of that, Janet and Maharishi Mahesh, and I mean, it's incredible, and it's incredible for each of us to realize, again, you could be the next one to ignite the next one. All of us can be that one. That's what's so exciting as well. I mean, what Debra did is something that any of us can do in that regard. We all can make that huge difference. And I love what you talked about, like not judging, like, well, everybody's doing this. I hear that all the time, like, oh, Daniel, come on, that's dime a dozen, everybody's doing that. And then instantly, if you hear that, you might say, oh, well, you're right, let's take it, everybody's doing that, shouldn't bother. But if it's in your soul and you're meant to do it, then you're supposed to be doing it, and you're going to bring something that's going to be unique to it. And that's going to make a difference, because everybody says, oh, well, you're doing the same thing I'm doing. It's never true. Never. Nobody's ever doing the same thing. I mean, it's always different. And it's true. It's like no one's ever ready. That's something I had to learn. Like when I was coming up, it's like, I was like, man, you're just waiting for success to happen when all you need to do is say yes to it. Like you talk about, like no one's going to say, come in and anoint you and say, you're ready now. You have to decide you're ready, basically. I mean, you have to say, I'm ready. I don't care. You know, let's go. And I think that's so critical. And so I love that you share that as well. So you made this huge difference. You had this whole big thing going. And I love that this fusion too of the meditation background with law of attraction, because my mind sometimes wants to get it confused, because it's like I started more with the foundation of metaphysics, a little bit more in that area. Then I went into the void. I'm like, no, let go of everything, even law of attraction. We don't need all that. We just need to be present. And then I started suffering from that though. And it's like, okay, I'm not manifesting certain things I want now because you're not owning your desire, your natural desire. So then that would happen. Like, no, desire is bad. Let go of them all. And there's wisdom in all of it, but it's like it created this like confusion for me. I'm wondering if I've had the confusion, if other people have a confusion, because you got, well, there's Eckhart Tolle, he says let go of everything is the maybe the view. Then you've got, law of attraction, secret, and all that, make it happen. So what I'm hearing is a fusion of both. Can you tell us more about that? How there isn't really a contradiction, and how they really do, it all does work together, especially like all these people you studied, as well, like they all utilize the fusion of it all, I'm sure. So I'd love to hear more about that subject. It's something that's really, like, I think an important thing to talk about.
Yes, and what's interesting, remember I told you I have this ebook that I'm going to give to your audience, and I talk about the 5 secrets to success. And one is, I think I talk about it in this book, one is spiritual practices, and the other are energetic practices. They're actually quite different. The spiritual practices are, what do you do to get centered? Do you do japa? Do you rosary? Do you do prayer? Do you walk the labyrinth? Do you drum? Do you meditate? Do you do breath work? What brings you that inner silence? So that basis of inner silence. I feel strongly that everybody needs to have a spiritual practice. As a matter of fact, the great woman saint, Amaji, the hugging saint, she said something so profound. She said, the reason why we must at this time cling to our spiritual practices is so that when the world shakes, we remain unshakable. So that's what spiritual practices do. They center us in the silence. Energetic practices are more of those practices that you do during the day, okay? So I'll give you an example, because they're all allowing us to flow in the stream of effortless creation, to flow in that stream, we call it, in accordance with all the laws of nature, that is flowing to bring you your greatest good, bring you your greatest happiness, even bring you towards enlightenment. So for example, here is an energetic practice that I'm thinking Marcy and Janet, this is their favorite. And that is that when we express negativity about anyone or anything, what happens is that it stops our own success from coming to us. So for example, you see somebody who maybe you're not that fond of, and they just hit a windfall, and they bought a beautiful home and a beautiful car, and you see that and you go, that jerk, oh my God, I know that guy, he's such a freaking jerk, he doesn't deserve that stuff. All you're doing energetically is immediately cutting yourself off, because you start vibrating with he doesn't deserve and he's a jerk, and that's what you're going to draw into your life. So right. What I tell people to do is, when you see somebody who has something that you want, even if they are a jerk in your estimation, but always you point one finger at somebody and 3 are pointing back at you. So you look at why you are a jerk in the same way that person is a jerk. It's a gift. Every time you think of something bad about somebody, remember 3 are pointing back at you. think about, find that inside yourself. But if you see somebody wanting that has something that you want, you say, you wish them all success and prosperity. You rejoice in their success. And you say, and that's for me. And you should be with us sometimes, the three of us. Every time we see something, we see some hot guy, we see some cool Tesla, we go, and that's for me. And we laugh. Sometimes we laugh so hard we fall on the floor because it's so funny. But you know what? Instead of criticizing, and we have in our DNA all of the programming. I remember my father, bless his heart, the nicest guy in the world, but he taught me that all rich people are crooks. So when I saw a rich person, it was like, well, there's a crook. Well, there's a crook. So there's a, and that was what I was drawing back into myself until I learned this principle. So that's an energetic principle that you could start out by just walking down the street. And when people just walk past you, just shoot them love from your heart. I wish you all success and prosperity. And you'll be shocked at how many people whip their head around and give you a big smile because we're so sensitive to energy. So those are energetic practices to help you flow in that river of grace and flow in the river of goodness. So there are spiritual practices, there are energetic practices. And now the last thing is letting go. I teach in my seminars that we absolutely should desire. Okay. Desire is our spark for action. Okay. If I said I have my seminar, my Yes to Success seminar coming up. Oh, I'm not going to take any action. I will just let God provide. Right. It's like, then all of these people who are now joining me, because I took action to do webinars, I took action to do, my Yesathon and my ebook and whatever else. And now these hundreds of people are going to have their life completely transformed. But I told you what happened yesterday. And that is that our technology just totally crashed. And all of the people who would have heard about it yesterday, nobody got to. But here's the thing, you also have to know that everything is perfect and there are no mistakes in the universe. And how do I know that everything was supposed to crash yesterday? Because it did. Argue with reality, you will always lose. I learned that from my dear friend and mentor, Byron Katie, founder of The Work. So how can I say that shouldn't have happened yesterday? Well, how do we know it should have happened? Because it did. And then I have to go back to, and the perfect people who are supposed to be with me on my seminar will be with me on my seminar. And that's the reality. So that's why there's no reason ever to blame or shame or you did this and why didn't you get the email out, as if somebody intentionally wanted to sabotage you. And even if they did, what is it about you that maybe somebody wanted to sabotage it? Not that that happened in my team because I have the best team in the world, but it's always a learning experience. It's always learn to look back and examine your own life. And the last thing I'm going to say is that when I teach people my goal setting system, I always tell them to be very specific, exactly what you want. Make plans, exactly how you're going to get there. And then when you're all done, the last thing I have everybody do is write across the top, this or something better. Because if the creator in all his or her benevolence sees something better for you, don't close yourself off. It's like those monkeys in Borneo, who put their hands in the coconut and wanted the banana so badly that they got carted away in cages, bless their little monkey hearts. If they just would have let go, they could have had their freedom. So don't hold on so strongly to what you think you want. Let go. This or something better.
This or something better. Yeah. That's what from you apparently, and maybe you got it from somewhere too, but that's what got into the passion test, right? So I've been teaching that to people for many years now.
Well, don't forget, if you read the first chapter of the passion test, it's all about how Janet followed me around. You remember that?
Oh, yeah. No, I totally.
Until I hired her to become my first Yes to Success trainer. And then when I retired, which I don't know if you're going to ask me about, but then when I retired, I said to Janet and all my other students, including Deepak, including Marcy, I said, use my stuff. You don't have to give me credit. I want the world to be successful. I want them to have true success. So if you say this or something better, you don't have to say, as my friend Debbie says, just teach it and let people use it. So that did come from Yes to Success.
Yeah, I did want to get into that with the time we have left. I wanted you to share, because I think that's such a remarkable part of not just your journey, but of your what you have to share with people. There's a lot of people who have been in that situation where something comes up, you know, you're having all this big success, or you're in a career and you're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden it's like something that happens, you're just like, no, I'm not supposed to do this anymore. I mean, because you were at a point where you were, not only did you have all that success, but it was ready to keep taking a quantum leap forward. It was just going to just keep spiraling. I mean, instead of the people that we know today as the household names, you probably were going to become that person. It is with the trajectory, but something came in and put a hold on that or stopped it at that time. And so I'd love for you, I don't want to give it away, but I'd love for you to share like what happened, like something you got, because it was divinely orchestrated. So tell, because this or something better, right? It's kind of how I look at it. So tell me what happened. What happened that had you just like shut it all down in a way?
Yes, I know. And parts that you might not even know, you know that my seminar was being taught all over, and all those people were my students who everybody knows. Everyone knows Deepak, everyone knows Marcy and Janet, and Steve Farber, who's the founder of Extreme Leadership, was one of my students. Jeffrey Smith, who's the world's foremost authority on GMOs, was my student. And Phil Town, who wrote Rule Number One and Payback Time, #1 New York Times bestsellers, was my student. I could go on and on and on. And it's like, well, wait a second, I heard of all of them, but I never heard of you. Well, the reason is that as I was teaching this, I was about to have my own daytime TV talk show, and that was in 1988. And my Yes to Success book was in the hands of a couple New York publishers, and I gave it all up, like hook, line, and sinker, I guess the expression is. And the reason I did is because my daughter was born, and I took one look at her and I thought, new passion, because I didn't want to leave her to go to the bathroom, let alone leave her to go on a book tour, or leave her to get up at 5:30 in the morning to tape a TV show. And the other thing, Dan, is that I taught people to follow their heart. I said, it's your only true path to success. Don't go by what your mind is telling you, because your mind is filled with the impressions that you have been taught all throughout your life, most of which are false. And then we base our decision on those things that we've been hearing since we were a child. But the heart is pure. And if anybody wants to make a decision, just move your attention from your actual physical head into your physical heart, and from there make your decisions. And also, if that's what I was teaching everybody, follow your heart. And my heart was with my little girl in her little crib, and I was traveling around the world teaching Yes to Success. My authenticity meter would have been way over in the negative range. And I would not, as Janet would say, I would not be the teacher who was living the teaching. And I wouldn't do that to my students, and I wouldn't do it to myself. So I decided to become a full-time mom at home. And I remember this guy from Singapore called me and he said, I heard you had the baby. Let's set up, because I was going to do a tour of Southeast Asia. Let's set up the tour. And I said, Xiong, you're going to have to call me back in 18 years. He remembers, we're still friends. I really did say that. And then when my son was born 3 years later, it turned into 21 years. So I became a full-time mom at home, and there I remained 21 years. And I'll tell you one other story, because you'll appreciate this, knowing Janet Atwood. When I had been home now for a full 21 years, and one day she says to me, Debbie, she calls me Debbie, Debbie, when are you going to stop pretending that your kids still need you and get back on the speaking circuit, because the world needs you? And I thought about it for a second. I said, you know, Janny, I don't know if my kids ever needed me, because there are plenty of great kids who are raised by nannies and guardian parents and foster parents and aunties, and there is nothing wrong with those kids. They are fantastic. And I said to Janny, I said, I don't know if they ever really needed me, but it's I who needed them, because to me, one, I love you, mommy, was worth 1,000 standing ovations. And I just didn't want to give up that daily love that I got from my children. But they were 18 and 21, so I'm sure they could read Harry Potter to themselves when they went to bed at night. So I, and you know, you never give up being a parent, but, and then the other principle of success that I teach that I like to share right now is that to always treat everybody as the most important person in the world, and don't judge anybody by their age, their race, their, you know, sexuality, their male, female, you know, they have funny clothes or crooked eyeglasses. When somebody, I always say, when whoever is standing in front of you is the most important person in the world and deserves to be treated that way. And I remember when Marcy Shimoff came to my first seminar, and she's this bouncy little college student, as cute as a button, but she's saying, I'm gonna quit college and I'm gonna come and work for you. I could have thought, what the hell is she talking about? But I gave her my full attention, and I heard her brilliance, and I hired her, and she left graduate school to work for me. And it's the same thing with Janet. Janet followed me from city to city to city, the stories and the passion test, until I hired her. And when I came out 21 years later, my friends were waiting for me. Janet got me 2 speaking engagements within minutes of me saying, okay, I'll come back. Because I treated her as the most important person in the world. And I didn't need to be paid back. But you build what my son calls relationship capital. And you build relationship capital by doing good things for people without any thought of return. But the return always happens when you do it from a place of just wanting to give. And then about a year after that, Marcy shows up, and my dear precious Marcy, she's like, I have this idea to teach this course, Your Year of Miracles, and I want you to teach it with me. And we created this unbelievable program. We taught it together for 5 years. She's still teaching it. I had the inspiration. Again, I had to follow my truth, which was I wanted to go back to teaching Yes to Success. And as hard as it was to pull myself away from Year of Miracles and Marcy, I also teach you have to follow your truth. And so now I'm back teaching Yes to Success again.
Wow. I mean, thank God you are, as awesome as all that is. It's like, I'm like, it coming back out, I'm like, couldn't be a better time. Couldn't be a better time. People are feeling so like, oh, is anything possible lately, right? With just a sense of what's going on in the collective. But it's like, there couldn't be a better time. I mean, this is a time when the people that are saying yes to success thrive. They thrive like gangbusters. They're going to skyrocket in success. Just the opposite of what everybody thinks when things like this happen. No, there's people that get the signal. They're like, yes, this is happening. And so it can catapult you hugely right now. And so I'm grateful that you come back out with this again, because it's desperately, I want to say desperately, not desperately needed right now by so many people that are feeling, you know, like they don't know if what's possible anymore, right? So can I go outside? Can I do this? Can I do that? Am I okay to be a white person? Am I okay to be a black person? Am I okay? Am I okay? So I think you bring such a fusion of love and the spiritual practices, the law of attraction, metaphysics, principles of success, everything, and you've proven it works for people. And so I mean, so it's great. And so you have this. With all that being said, I want to just direct people that you have the ebook for people to check out. So as we're beginning to wrap up, first of all, I wanted to see if there's, so first of all, is there any last words we have for the audience before we give them the, to tell them about the ebook real quick?
Well, one thing I want to say is that I teach true success. I don't teach success. Yes, I do have students that have gone on to become millionaires, even a couple billionaires and household names, but I also have students. I have one woman who had a multi-million-dollar real estate company, sold it because she got in touch with the fact that all she ever wanted to do was be a grammar school teacher. And now she is a grammar school teacher. I have another person who gave up a 6-figure business because she wanted to do nonprofit work in Africa. So it's not just about creating success in the traditional sense of the word. It's about creating true, lasting success, inner success and outer success. But I will, if you want me to just give a one little tidbit of something that people could take with them into their lives. And I'm going to tell a story. It'll take about 3 minutes, but it is just again about the power of your words and the power of your thoughts. And it's a story about when I had a near-death experience almost exactly 6 years ago to the date. But what happened was, usually when I get sick, I'll just take a little golden seal echinacea, and then it never really takes hold. But this time I was feeling like a little fluey, and I did all those things, but I got sicker and sicker and sicker as the days went on. And I remember lying in bed on a Saturday thinking I was going to die. And I realized that I better do something about it. So I did what any intelligent person would do. I called my favorite healer, and he said, well, I will help you, but you have to promise you do what I say. And I said, anything, because I thought I was going to die. He said, call 911 immediately. And I couldn't even at that point even open my eyes to press some buttons on my phone. So he called 911. The paramedics came to my house. He had to break down the door, took me to the hospital. I'm lying on the gurney and it didn't look good. My blood pressure was something like 50 something over 20 something. And I had what's called an acute sepsis. You have a 50% chance of living when you have acute sepsis, or you also lose limbs from it. There's all kinds of things that happen. I had 2 deadly bacteria in my blood. I had just come back from a developing country. I wasn't that, and it was like brewing in my blood, and it just showed up. So I'm lying in the gurney. It does not look good. And I notice that when my eyes are open, I could see everybody rushing around and trying to save my life. And when my eyes are closed, I could also see everybody rushing around and trying to save my life. But I saw that everything in creation is guided by a light. It was incredible. It's like the movement of the nurses' hands, the movement of the orderlies, the movement, everything was just, and everything fit together like cogs in a fine-tuned watch. And you know how we say there are no mistakes in the universe? I saw there were no mistakes in the universe. And I'm lying there unable to speak, thinking, I want to tell people it's really true. There are no mistakes in the universe, but I couldn't speak. And my husband showed up. We were separated at the time, and now we're divorced, but he's still my incredibly dear friend. It's just that the marriage part of our friendship was over, and he came there because the healer had called him, and it didn't look like I was going to live. I remember looking over at him, and the tears were streaming down his face because it really didn't look good. And a nurse came over to him and put her hand on his shoulder and said, "Don't worry, she's going to be fine." And I saw it, Dan, I am telling you, because I was in that place between life and death. When she said, "Don't worry, she's going to be fine," this accompanying her words came this light. It was like a sparkly light. It was almost like a My Little Pony rainbow, like, did it? And it went into my body. She's going to be fine. And it made my body fine. It gave me all my strength back. About 2 minutes later, the doctor came in a really gruff voice. He looked at my monitors and he said, "Get that blood pressure up or we're going to lose her." And I saw when he said, "We're going to lose her," out of his mouth, it was accompanied by this like brown, gray, horrible, it even had a smell. It smelled like a swamp. And it went into my body and it took all my strength away. And as I was lying there, I said, "Please, God, let me live, because I want to tell people how powerful their words are about themselves and even about others." And I made the vow at that moment that if I lived, I would never say anything about my kids like, "Oh, this isn't true," but just, for example, like, "Oh, he's so lazy," because he's not. "He's so lazy," or "She's so superficial," because she's not. Anything that you say actually goes into that person's being. And that's why we also want to make sure that we surround ourselves with people who have really good words and thoughts. And that's why I surround myself with my friends who are all my greatest cheerleaders, because thoughts and words about yourself and about others have an effect not only about you, on you, but also on them. And if you want to protect yourself from other people's thoughts, just surround yourself. I just say, God, surround me with love, surround me with light, so only divine grace can come through. And that's what I want to share.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's so amazing that you had that experience and able to share it from that perspective. And I know you have to get going in a minute or two here. So, so tell people briefly about the ebook.
Yes, well, as I mentioned earlier, my book was in the hands of a couple New York publishers, and it was a really nice, fat book. A little bit outdated now because it was I don't know, 30. Actually, my daughter's 32, so it had to be 32 years ago. But people keep saying, when are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? When are you going to write a book? So I decided that what I was going to do is I was going to write an ebook and give it to everybody for free, where I would take my 5 most important secrets. I call them the 5 secrets to a life of true success. 5 most important. If you just do these 5 things, you can create a life of true success. And it's such an awesome ebook. It has pictures. There's one of me and Marcy. There's one of me and my son. There's one. Next book will have me and my daughter. But I have stories about things that I learned from my first teacher, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, about love. It is just so rich and so life transforming. It's not something that I just threw together as a loss leader. This is a genuinely life-changing ebook, and that's what I'm going to give your people.
Oh, that's amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. I'm going to put it in the show notes, and also if people are looking at this in other forums, we'll put it down below wherever they're finding YouTube, Facebook, what you name it. So we'll go ahead and get all that set up for people to click on that link. And you can find, otherwise, where can people find you if they don't find the link for some reason?
YesToSuccess.com. Yes to Success.com.
There you go. You can't go wrong. You'll find everything you really need there as well. So awesome. So I'm so grateful. We definitely want people to take advantage of that ebook right away. There's a lot of timely information you're giving right now to people around the world, and we need everybody on deck as ASAP. And I know you have some events coming up too, right?
I do. Actually, I have this week, I think people might not be hearing this until Tuesday or Wednesday, but you know what? It's okay, because we're doing this now on Monday. I have an event tonight, but if you get the ebook, you'll get the information about tonight's. And I have another event free. It's a 90-minute webinar called The 5 Pillars to Your Ultimate Life, free. And it is, again, it is a absolutely information tools. I give you it all. And that is Wednesday. And if people are listening to this and they're downloading the ebook and the event already happened, don't worry, because we'll send you a replay of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been doing some of the work that you've been sending out lately, and I haven't seen I haven't gotten the ebook yet, but I have done it. And I'll just say I just streamed all kinds of things. Interesting. Everything I streamed out is all about love. Like most of it, like love everyone, love this, love that. Like, embrace. And my guides always have said that everything's that has to do with being in your heart space. So I mean, it's just wonderful to hear you talk about that today. So everybody, this is just the best of the best, and take advantage of it. And again, if you all want to check out what I'm up to, just go to yoursacredpurpose.com, meditate, make money, get your free meditation. It'll give you that wisdom and guidance you need each day. So yoursacredpurpose.com. And Debra, I'm just so grateful that you squeezed me into a very, very, very hectic schedule right now at this moment in time. And so I'm so grateful for you. And we'll share this with as many people as we can.
And I'm so grateful for you. And when you asked me, I didn't even hesitate. For you, yes.
Thank you, Debra. That means so much to me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, all right. Much love to you, Debra. Everybody, just keep on coming here, tuning in with us, and we'll keep on rocking it. And here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast Show, much love to you all. Bye for now. You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.